So this is my video about body modification, and I guess more specific title would be My Philosophy on Life as Manifest Through Body Modification. I guess there's about a half an hour worth of stuff to say here, so I've got a script to go through. I've been wanting to make this type of video for quite a while now. I've just never had access to a camera and been lazy and a few other reasons. So this is my second time trying to make this video. The first time it came out horribly, and this is actually the first time I'm trying to make any video of me to post online, so let's see how that works. I look ugly as hell through any camera lens. Photographs are bad enough. I look totally retarded on video. That's not helped by the fact that I have braces, which I just got couple of weeks ago, so they make me lift like this and dry my mouth out, so when I have the occasional cup of water that that Republican guy didn't have, you'll know what's up. And I'll also be speaking about those more later. And I'll be making occasional pauses that aren't because I expect to do quite a bit of editing on this video. So anyways, the things I'm going to discuss, I'm going to speak about myself, tell you my background story, share my philosophy on life, why I'm into body modification, and the history and explanation of what I have and why I have them. So about me, my name's Kalen, I'm 26 years old, I live in New York City. I have an awesome job as a computer engineer. I love going to work. They should pay me more, and I'm probably getting a new job, but I love my job. I also like road cycling, and I occasionally participate as an amateur road racer in Central Park. And I also love computer games. I like camping. I like the outdoors. So my philosophy on life. And as a child, I was into two categories. I loved computers and loved technology and loved reading everything. I read the encyclopedias, the dictionary. So I like to be with the smart people, but I have the attitude, more of like the punk type of group. But they, aren't so intellectually inclined. And so I never fit into either one of those groups. I was always by myself in school, and I wasn't one of the ones that would cut myself or cry in a corner. I always did my thing. I just got used to it as a fact of life, so it wasn't anything that ruined my day necessarily. But come on, it gets kind of boring and lonely. So that continued to be with me up through high school, and once I got into college, one girl came up and introduced herself one night when I was eating alone in the dining hall a couple weeks into freshman year, and invited me over to dinner with them. The 5 people I ate dinner with, probably 4 of them are still close friends that we hang out with on a regular basis. So if not for her, I wouldn't have any friends at all, but they've been really awesome. So things have changed as I've gotten older here, especially since going for college, and leaving to college and coming to New York City afterwards. So more specifically here, I started having seizures in 2009, literally the weekend that I moved down here from college, which is Syracuse, New York. It's about 3 hours away. And I had a particularly bad seizure that put me in the hospital for a week. And the first 2 days weren't so good, but I was kind of back to normal. I had to stay there for treatment routine, but for a week, and it gets really boring. And so I had plenty of time to think. And 2 things kind of occurred to me. Is when I'm lying on my deathbed, what things am I going to regret? and I should be doing everything possible to do those things, to not regret them. And so it makes me reassess my life, because up to that point I had been very independent thought. I have an opinion on everything. I love politics. I would not hesitate to tell a person to go fuck themselves. In fact, I got suspended from middle school once for getting up in the teacher's face and fuck you, because he called me a liar. But my parents didn't like him, so I got to play. So anyways, it made me reassess my life, is that I went from independent thought to independent action. And so I've actually begun to put those philosophies into practice, if not the specific desires. So 5 years ago I would have never considered getting piercings, but you know, I like to be flamboyant occasionally. And there's a more complicated story in that situation. So anyways, it prompted me to do things I wouldn't otherwise do because I was restraining myself. So going to crazy sex parties, or marching in the Pride Parade in a pair of neon tights, or hanging out at gay bars with my friends. Some of the other things that I've done, of course, and it's not like they have to be, that they obviously shouldn't be illegal or stupid or hurtful to others, but you know, it's not just for me to think, okay, now I'm newly liberated and I'm gonna go modify my body. It doesn't have to be that. You know, you can go, if it's a big step for you to wear striped socks to work, then you know, that can be a big step for you, or that can be one way that you allow yourself to be yourself. So I guess the latest manifestation for that is pink hair. I would have, a month ago, I would have never thought about doing it, but the urge came on me one day, and I said, fuck it, why not? So I've spent a week at work with the pink hair. Actually, I love it. And I'm going to speak more to that also as well. So that's my background story up to this point, I guess. And now to speak to my philosophy, I've had body modification phrased a few ways. One of them, somebody said, you know, you get asked all the time by people, well, why would you do that to yourself, or what does it mean, as though everything has to have a meaning. And this person's response was, my body is my temple and I like to decorate it. And I think that's a great way to look at it, because not every tattoo has to mean something. You can decorate your body. My rainbow stars I didn't get them because they mean something. They mean something to me now, having them. I like to look down and see colorful stars. They make me happy. What's wrong with that? You know, I get strange looks when I go to the water park, but come on, with all the rest of what's going on here, rainbow stars are pretty kosher. Everybody's got a tattoo, but they make me happy. Isn't that good enough a reason? Now my Rammstein tattoo does have a lot more meaning, and I will speak to that later as well. So I think a lot of the things that we do or don't do, upstate New York where I'm from, for example, it's much more rural. They have cornfields, people go hunting, you know, they have rifles in their car, which is fine. They say hi when they're walking down the sidewalk, which, after being here in New York City, is kind of, why are you talking to me? So anyways, it's not Republican Texas or anything, but it's a lot more conservative, and you I always tried, while living up there, to keep as low a profile as possible. I wouldn't wear colorful clothes. I didn't have a fancy backpack. I always had cheap sneakers. And I just tried to keep a low profile. Or in school, actually, I went to a very ritzy suburban school through a special arrangement because I lived in a really trashy, like, mill town, burned out type of place. So I went to school with a bunch of rich and pretty smart people. And I took a lot of honors classes, and I loved being the one in there with the ripped t-shirt looking like a scumbag, but at least being able to prove myself, like, you know, I'm just as good as you are, and I've worked harder to get to that point because I haven't had all these benefits and money behind me. So I I liked being different, but not in the rebellious, you know, Mom, I'm gonna pierce my hair, or pierce my ears, or dye my hair because I want to rebel against you. It's, I didn't do any of that in my teenage years, but it's not like I was afraid of them either. It just, the urge never came upon me. Being low-key was just always what I was, and never considered anything different. Now, coming down here to New York City, you see everything. You can hear every language. People dress in every possible manner. I've seen Indian chiefs. I've seen the African, some of the African Muslims, they wear the full robes. The women up in Harlem wear the really colorful, patterned headscarves. You can see everything here, and I think that the people here really appreciate that. Even, you know, you're obviously going to think some people, wow, that's a lot. But people are so used to seeing things like that that they just keep walking. Now I get looks with the purple hair, but it's pretty obvious. But I think people appreciate the difference, and I've had a lot of comments, or compliments actually. I haven't had any negative comments. Even at the liquor store where all the homeless bums and stuff hang out. I had these two big black dudes compliment me, and we chatted for a few minutes. You know, of course they say you're nuts, but they liked it. I had an old lady going to church compliment me. The order taker girl at Starbucks liked it. A couple of my coworkers liked it, and so it that's made me change my mind, because I was originally going to shave it off this past Wednesday because of work, but I wanted to wait a few days because I really stained my scalp. But I was having enough fun. I figured, you know, fuck it, I'm going to keep it till this weekend. And now I figure, fuck it, I'll keep it till next weekend, because this is the first time I've ever done it, and like I said, I'd like to make the most of it, because I don't plan on doing it again anytime soon. So being here in New York City is liberating, and it has allowed me to come out of my shell, I guess, and I'm not afraid of what other people think, especially because there's so many more of them, and it's a lot easier, it's a lot less threatening. There's a lot more positive atmosphere around being weird or unique, and I think, you know, you see these rich supermodels and stuff, and you know who they are because of how they dress. Or one time I saw some female movie star, and all I knew of that was the big black Escalade, the big bodyguards, and the big floppy hat. And so I think, you know, it's nice to strut around town looking different, being fabulous. Just, you know, live it up, do something different. You don't have to do it every day. It doesn't have to be that extreme. Do what you want to do because you want to do it, not because you're afraid of what you think other people might be thinking. It's all in your head. And who cares what they think anyways? No, well, of course you got work, but So, why am I into body modification? There's a few reasons I think that it appeals to people. It can be physically pleasurable. It can be fun, functional. There can be a sexual aspect to it. My septum, for example, I got that as my first piercing because I'm very much into the B and D part of the BDSM. I'm not into the pain and the S&M part, but the psychological mindset is a big part of that. And so having my septum pierced makes me feel very submissive. So you could put a ring in there and lead me around by it, and functionally cannot not follow. But I haven't had anybody do that yet, but just the feeling that it gives, the mindset that it gives is what I find appealing. So at the moment I keep a blue stone plug in there. I switched it out for the UV reactive acrylic ring, but they're bad for you anyways, and I don't like the look. So I guess that's what's behind the septum. The nipples are physically fun. I mean, they were, especially the first year, they were really fun to play with. They're still fun to play with, but they're not. Actually, let me take that back. Yeah. The PA is obviously very sexual. The weight, I took it out for a few days. I got to put it back in, but the weight of it makes it feel very good. People do like getting fucked with it, either direction. My dick kind of feels empty without having it in there. So I guess getting my tongue split was more of the functional, fun type of reason. And I think there's also some subconscious aspect to it that, you know, consciously I find that appealing, I like it, that would look good on me, I want that. But then there's that more subconscious primal level where you, not to make it sound like it's this super emotional thing, but you know there's something that tickles you down inside and you think, you know, that would, I'm willing to do that. And so I think that applied for both the ears and the tongue. The tongue, I can't do it so good. Some people can, you know, flip it up and around and twist it. I can't take. You gotta practice a lot with it. But when it was done, it was, the most common ways to do it are scalpel, really scalpel, or an electrocautery pen, which is basically a pen with a small tip that gets really hot and it just burns right through, and it seals the blood vessels at the same time, so you're not bleeding like you profusely bleed with a scalpel incision. But this was done with an electrosurgical unit, and I'm not entirely sure how it works, but I guess it is like a welding arc where it just passes an electrical current straight through one side of the tongue to the other, and slices right through it just as effectively, but it doesn't heat the skin up, so you don't burn anything like you would with the electrocautery pen, because you know it heats up the surrounding tissue, which causes more damage. And then I had it stitched, so because I wanted it rounded. A lot of people that get scalpel incisions very straight on the inside, and I don't care for that. Healing sucked. I couldn't talk for over 10 days. I couldn't eat anything. I had to smoothie through the straw in front of my mouth. And I didn't figure out till like 4 or 5 days into it that I could actually have a smoothie for food. So I lost about 15 pounds in 10 days. It was horrible. That was the worst of anything I've ever done. That has to be the worst pain. I have a slight bit of numbness on the left thigh here because while it was healing, it swelled so much, I think, that some of the sutures popped. And so you've got the tongue, it was cut in half. Each side of the incision split open like this into a V shape. So, you know, it kind of split into the tongue a bit. And I think that might have caused a little nerve damage. So I can only if I think about it can I usually notice it. But I'm a tiny bit disappointed about that. But you have to accept these type of risks when you do this, you know. So I'm accepting of it, and it's not that bad, you know. So it's much more fun to have than to not. So the ears, I first got these done in November 19th, 2011, and so the procedure was that I went in to his shop. I sit down. He spends about 45 minutes with a marker, pinching my ears and folding them and seeing where the cartilage bends, where it's soft, where it's hard, how hard is it, you know, where the incisions need to be made, how big. So he spent about 45 minutes doing that, and then he, you know, cleaned it up good, got all the instruments sanitized and ready, sterilized, and so he did each ear, again about 45 minutes each, and it was numbed, thank God, but it started to wear off when the last few stitches were put into each one. But the worst part was he snipped it with scissors a bit, and hearing the crunch of the scissors going through the cartilage it's like nails on a chalkboard or bones snapping. It's just sends shivers down your spine. Healing wise, it was like not having a hat on in a northern winter. So it was uncomfortable. After the first 3 or 4 days, you don't even really notice it. But I took a few ibuprofen a few times, and that was it. The first time it only bled a little bit. The second time, so I had they rounded out a bit. So this ear was a lot more round on the top. It didn't have much of a point. And this one had this little nub of cartilage. And I hoped that wouldn't come back, but it did. So I had this redone in October, the end of October 2012, so a couple months ago, 3, 4 months ago. And so I'm going to go back in 3 or 4 more months and just have him snip this off. Now, one thing I've noticed is, this past week even, they seem to have become very numb, especially this one. Before it had just been a little bit in the tip, but now it's really down more to like here. I don't know what's up, and it's kind of noticeable. I don't think it has anything to do with the procedure itself, but either way, you know. So before I got the ears done, I spent about 18 months of research finding out who the different artists are, what styles they use, what the outcome is, how much they cost, where they are, and especially the aftercare. And I keep a Tumblr blog where I've written several long posts about everything that I've been able to collect on the internet and everything that I've compiled, you know, or experienced myself. So you can read those, and I'll put a link in the video description to that because I don't feel like repeating it. and it's a lot of information. First and foremost, don't touch it. Leave your mods alone. That'll solve 90% of your problem. Leave it the fuck alone. Don't put anything on it. So, the tattoos. Obviously, well, I just told you about the stars. They make me happy. They're colorful and pretty, and you know, whatever you want to call them. I like them. So the Rammstein tattoo. So they're a German heavy metal industrial band. I think they're pretty sophisticated though. I've loved them for 12 years now. I've gone to several of their concerts. They're totally fucking awesome. And I guess some people think, wow, why would you want to get the logo of your band on there? And I have a lot of memories attached to Rammstein because I listened to them very frequently. And my first girlfriend in high school was really into them, and that was one of the things that we had in common when we met. And that ended not so good. And so I remember, you know, sitting across the library and seeing her and having Rammstein on the headphones, and times in college writing papers, times at work doing something. So just that they've got a lot of memories attached to them, and even if I were to stop liking them one day, which I doubt, you know, this would still serve some other purpose. So this one has a legitimate reason behind it. I guess with the stars, they've come to, yeah, I find them aesthetically pleasing, but they've also come to symbolize a time in my life where, I guess the overall time where I've done all of these things to myself, but also this liberating time. I got this done 2011, so what, about a year and a half ago, I got the stars done. And a few years ago, I would have never even considered tattoos because they're permanent. So at first, I started just with piercings because, oh, well, you know, they're just piercings because they can be removed. But I've moved up a notch because, you know, I figure you only live once anyways, but why not, once you're ready and willing, this camera needs to brighten up. Once you're ready and willing to have it done, why not have it done? Okay. So here you can see my star implant. I like it. It's made out of a soft silicone. It was hand carved. You can see, I guess, you can see the stars. They go down to right above my dick. So this is hand carved silicone. It's about 1 centimeter high, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches that way. Its meaning is more low-key, I guess, too. I mean, I like it. It fits in. Part of the reason I got it is because it fits in with these stars, and I was originally going to get this tattooed like a rainbow or something, but I kind of like it the way it is. I think it could use a little something, but I'm not sure what it is, but I'm happy with it at the moment. And it's soft, you know, well, I mean, it's about my ear cartilage is pretty firm, but it's about that firm. And it's starting to sink in a bit in the middle because, you know, the skin has to loosen up a bit, but it's been kind of slow. You can see the incision right here. I had it done on this side because I can get it covered up with another star, but it's really been going away. I don't really get scars, or at least they go away after a little while. Also, when I had this star put in, I had a magnet put in my left ring finger, and some people say they can stick it near a computer memory stick or near an outlet and they can feel the vibrating, and I haven't had that experience. My artist said that a lot of computer people get them, and I was uncomfortable to type for a few weeks, but I can really feel magnetic field around the microwave, and it's like a pulsating. It's not, your finger isn't attracted to something, it's just you can feel the pulsating magnetic field, like, how to describe it. It's like if you had a wheel with a piece of paper on it, and you spun it really fast, and it would so it's interesting to feel how strong the magnetic field is around that microwave. Now I've got Buckyballs, which are these neodymium magnets, those desktop toys, so you can build them into different shapes, and they're really hard to take apart. But they're so powerful that if you put one on your finger, it can be painful. Actually, they're taking them off the market because the little kids were eating them, and they would get trapped in the stomach and either squeeze the skin together and cause an ulcer, or they would disintegrate and poison the kids. So, because kids are stupid like that, everybody has to, stop production, close the company. So the hair. So we went to a UV blacklight warehouse party last weekend out in Brooklyn, which is where all the cool fun stuff actually happens. Manhattan has their really nice upscale clubs and bars and all of that. And they're not all that expensive. There's only a few really, really upscale ones you can. It's not like you have to be special to get in past the bouncer. All you need is a valid ID. But a lot of them, it's kind of the same theme, whereas out in Brooklyn, everything is different. There's a lot of strange stuff out there, even compared to me. So we went to a party out there, and, I figured why the hell not make the most of it. So I did the hair up, too. And I, making the most of it, fully intended to go. I got body painted head to toe, and that was a lot of fun. So like I said, I was originally going to shave it off for work, and then scalp staining, and then, hey, it's fun, why not keep it? So I think it distracts. I guess for me, when I first got the tongue split, I'm all thinking, oh my god, I gotta talk with my mouth closed like this, because, oh, I called out sick from work, and what if my boss notices my tongue? And that went on for 3 or 4 months. And, forget about it. And then I had the ears done. So what? 8 months after I had the tongue split. And so then, this is really visible. And especially the first 10, 12 days when you still got the stitches in there, they look pretty funky. And so, I'm all worried then, like, oh my god, who's seeing it? What are they thinking? How disgusting are they? I'm wondering how they look on me from a third-person perspective. My hair is fucked up. And so, you're preoccupied by those thoughts for a while. And that goes away after. This takes a bit longer, I guess, for me because it's so visible. But, I got like a fabulous backpack now, and that probably takes more attention than this. And now I've got purple or pink hair, and, well, I guess it makes the ears stick out more, but, your attention is drawn elsewhere. So now I'm fixated on, oh, who sees the phone call? Who sees the hair, and what are they thinking about it? Oh, so I forgot to show you. Here's the ears. Here's that little nub of cartilage I'm talking about. I hope you can see it. Hella. Gotta get my head straight here. This is my favorite one. But yeah, I really liked my ears. It took quite a lot of thought to decide to get it done, especially because it's really my only visible mod. And I was about 95% certain when I went in to get the procedure done. And that other 5%, you know, I was willing, that 5% wasn't the deal breaker, and so since having the procedure done, that 5% is more than covered. I love having them. If hardly anybody's ever noticed them. I've had 2 job offers already. Nobody's noticed it, and these are at high-tech firms in Midtown, suit and tie. So it really seems to me like people either don't notice or don't care, or they think it's a birth defect or something. When my mother first saw him, she was like, "Oh my God, what did you do to yourself?" But she hasn't said anything since, so I think maybe she thinks it doesn't look that bad. I don't know. But it seems like a lot of people that you see on the internet who do have their ears pointed also have fabulous colored hair, so I guess I have now joined that group of people. And it seems like tongue splitting's always been more popular, but a lot more people seem to be getting their ears pointed in the past couple of years. And I guess that group also includes me. There's very few guys that get it done, which I think is unfortunate, because quite a few of them look good with it. So, what the hell, why not? So, the braces. I got these. Oh, what? I got these about a month ago, and also I started back in like the middle of January. I got a thing up here, actually on the top. It's meant to push my face, the teeth wider, and I got the braces on themselves about a month ago, and also a lower thing to push my jaw out, but different direction. And you can see my teeth are really fucked up. So, in terms of body modification, actually, braces are just as much a modification of the body, and so are breast implants or facelift. These all count as body modification just because their routine and culture makes them. People don't think, ew, that's so disgusting, or at least as often. So anyway, they happen. The braces themselves don't bother me. It's been the shit behind my teeth that's really hurt me, because someone got some rough edges in there. But I haven't had any pain from the braces themselves, which is surprising because people say, a lot of people complain about how painful it is, and I haven't had that issue yet. The orthodontist was bemused with my split tongue. They don't seem to have noticed the ears, or at least haven't said anything yet. But I really need them. I wouldn't care if it was just aesthetic, but my teeth are all chipped. I bite into the top here, I bite into the top of my mouth, bite my lip, my cheeks, chip, everything fucked up. Got 2 teeth in front of each other. I needed them, and it's been a long time coming because my parents were broke when I was a kid, and this shit's costing me $6,500. 2 years. But he's supposed to be good orthodontist, so, and I won't get any teeth pulled, and I won't get any jaw surgery. I just refuse so he's confident he can do that for me, to not have to do that. So anyways, the only pain in the ass part is that sometimes it makes me lisp on my S's. It was really bad the first week when I got this top on, and I lisped like this, and I couldn't really talk. But they were right. I quickly got used to it, and especially once getting the front braces on, because you feel a lot more. If you move your lips, you notice it. Just with my mouth normal at any other part of the day, I don't notice they're there. But anyway, they don't bother me yet. So I should be getting the bottom ones on a few more months, because I need a lot of space down here. My jaw is really narrow. So I guess that's my braces. Conclusion. So I guess the points that I've learned, or the points that I want to communicate here, are to be true to yourself, and if you think you're going to regret it on your deathbed, try to get out there and do it, and don't be afraid of what other people think, even if they think you're crazy. Maybe you've always wanted to dye your hair, or maybe you had an inkling you might possibly want to do it. Go do it. If you don't like it, don't do it again. If you don't like it, do something different. It doesn't necessarily have to be extreme. It doesn't have to be permanent. Like I said, striped socks. If that's a big step for you, go for it. Go skydiving or eat a fried cockroach. Why not? An important point before getting any mod done, again, is research your artist, the styles, the outcomes that they have, the technique they use, aftercare, long-term results. First-hand accounts are really good, especially to know how clean they are. Brian sterilizes everything in his machine right there in front of you and washes his hands constantly. So he's cleaner than most doctors are, and his shop is immaculate. So that's the type of place you're looking for. And most of the well-renowned body mod artists are just like that. You're best going to a good renowned one because they're reliable. Think long and hard about a modification before you go and do it. Again, you're going to probably have this for life. And consider, even if you get a piercing, you might always have a scar there. I had my navel pierced. Not only was it didn't work as good on me, but it didn't heal anyways because of where it's at. So I still got a little scar there though. So give yourself even extra time, and if you're a little unsure, keep thinking about it and keep researching it, and make sure don't just do it on a whim and think on Monday, oh hey, I'm ready to do it, and then go do it on Friday. You might think you're really certain one day, and then the next day you might not be so certain. So take the time. Accept the risks involved. No matter who you go with or what you do, you always stand a chance of being infected with something or getting an infection. The procedure could not go right, but the procedure could not go right, so maybe the stitches break open, or like my tongue, that was less than ideal. It's acceptable, and what choice do I really have about that? But I knew what I was getting into going into it, and it's not that big a deal. And the last and most important point, leave it the fuck alone. Don't do anything. Split tongue, maybe pull it apart a little bit if it starts healing together during the first 2 weeks. And you're going to find how painful that is. The ears, don't touch them. Piercings, don't touch them. Don't put anything on them, no ointment, no bandages, no nothing. Don't get it wet for 2 or 3 days. Maybe they advise longer. What are you gonna do? The ears, I give them 5 to 7 days before I get them a little bit wet, just to rinse my hair off real quick. But otherwise, just leave it the fuck alone and don't put anything on it. Don't touch it, pick it, breathe on it, leave it alone. Alright, I think that's everything I've got to say. Hopefully I didn't look too retarded on this fucking video. Hopefully I don't have too much editing to do. And hopefully you're still watching and you enjoyed this and I at least had something relevant or interesting to say that you wanted to listen to. Okay, so my name's Kalen. That's the show. I might be posting a few more videos in the far future. We'll be happy to take any questions, comments, concerns. Call me a fucking weirdo and an asshole. I'll throw it right back at you, so feel free to flame on if you want. Share it. I don't care. But I love to hear comments, so please leave some. And one last parting thing too. My voice sounds really deep. It is not this deep in real life. I am a little bit spastic like this though. Even at work, I say a lot fewer ums in real life, but I am really this animated, and I really do speak like this. So, yeah. Bye bye.